Ladies and gentlemen, I have been to the Great Wall of China. I have seen the pyramids of Egypt. I even witnessed a grown man satisfy a camel. But never in all my years as a sportscaster have I witnessed something as improbable, as impossible as what we've witnessed here today. It's Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Hello, Thrive Loud listeners. At Thrive Loud, we are always connecting you, the listener, with amazing leaders that are thriving in their lives, their businesses, and their passions. We also have had hundreds of thriving women that have been featured on this podcast. Continuing this important effort, Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, Success.com, and Clubhouse have joined together to create a special series called Elevating the Brilliant Minds of Women. You'll get a chance to learn about these incredible initiatives of women across the globe, hear about how they are thriving, and how you can connect with them today. Enjoy this amazing conversation, and after the episode, learn more about this powerful initiative.
Get ready to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, you're going to have so much fun. I can't wait for this episode to get going. We have actress, radio host, and coach. She has overcome incredible personal challenges and has turned things around to be a truly thriving individual and lead her own amazing coaching company called Relationship Renegades. We're going to cover everything in this conversation, so listeners are going to have to just jump with our bouncing around because this person has done some pretty spectacular things, but you're also going to find her to be a spectacular individual. Thrive Loud listeners, Rachele Brooke Smith. Rachel, how are you today?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So Rachel and I, we met in the Clubhouse when I basically I said, open invitation. People, these amazing women who are truly brilliant minds of women who are elevating their game, and we wanted to elevate their game. We wanted to give them the platform to do so. That's one of the reasons. But here's the deal. Rachel, as you're going to learn very soon when we hear her story, is already doing that. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to feature it. So what I want to do, Rachel, is rewind a little bit because our listeners who don't know you and viewers want to get a chance to hear a little bit of your story. I don't want to go all the way to the womb. I want to go basically from a certain point where where this became your thing, because I want to save how you got started in the acting story. I want to talk about what you're doing right now because you've been acting for a bit. So Tell us how this Relationship Renegades kind of became your gig.
Yeah. Well, it is alongside, like, my passion, is I play hero characters in films, but I really want to help people become the hero of their own life's movie. And the crazy thing, being an actress, right? I was always so driven to achieve my childhood dream of being an actor. And I'll tell that story later. And I actually got it, I actually got to play the lead in the sequel to the film that changed my life and several other films and TV shows. The thing that everybody told me was impossible. But guess what? I felt so alone and unsupported and didn't have good relationships. And no matter what success I had, I felt unhappy, unfulfilled. And I was like, what is going on? And I really wanted so badly to have healthy relationships. And I just couldn't figure out how, and I just had kind of toxic relationship after toxic relationship. So one day I just got so sick and tired of being sick and tired and so heartbroken and alone that I was like, I'm going to just do everything I can to learn everything I can learn about relationships. And I started realizing something that, it's not like we have math and science and relationships, yet I really believe that we should, because there's a really well-known quote out there that says the quality of your life depends on the quality of your relationships. Yet nobody's really talking at a fundamental scale to well, maybe we should have a very foundational class, in high school and elementary school, in college, on communication and relationships and how to do this thing, right? Because whether it's a romantic relationship, friendships, business relationships, intimate relationships, it's all relationships. And I really started to learn that, in media, right? Especially being an actress, and all of the magazines and all of the main videos that got promoted were about toxic, unhealthy relationships. Yeah. to the point where like people were like, oh, well, you're an actress. Well, I guess you're not going to have a good relationship because all of those relationships fail. And I was like, no, they don't, because I'm in Hollywood and I'm a part of these films. And the people that I meet have some amazing relationships, and people like Meryl Streep and her husband that have been together forever, and countless other, you know, celebrity couples who actually have figured out a way to have great relationships, but they don't get talked about like the toxic, unhealthy relationships do. And I really understood how what we focus on expands. And so when I finally learned all these things and read every book I could find and listened to every program, and every mentor actually did find the love of my life and just created this beautiful, supportive, healthy relationship that I feel like is the best gift ever. And watching so many friends and people just suffering through unhealthy relationships and all these, you know, toxic fights and feelings, and wondering why they keep attracting the same guy or the same situations or the same woman. And I'm just like, you know, gosh, these things that I've learned really help. And so much of it has to do with our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I think that's the biggest thing, because we all want to blame the other person. We all want to say, well, it's their fault and she did this or he did that. But it's a lot more difficult, but it's also way more empowering to realize that, hey, my relationship with myself is a direct reflection of all of my relationships. And so my love, my fiance and I were just like, gosh, you know, let's create a brand called Relationship Renegades that does things different, you know, that helps people. And our mission is to co-create a world where healthy relationships are the new norm. And we just really believe that as together as a community, you know, we can start to shift and change things as we talk about all the beautiful stories of healthy, conscious relationships and how they're doing it.
I love it. I want to dig a little here, because did you, in your research and learning about relationships, what did you learn about yourself that early on might have led you to some of those difficult, toxic relationships? What did you learn maybe that wasn't quite complete in that study period?
Oh, I mean, so many things. You know, when we get really honest with ourselves, and when we're really ready to like look the man or woman in the mirror, we find some deep shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here.
You're allowed to fucking curse as much as you like. Okay.
You know, like, one of my biggest things was I had such a hard time telling men the truth, right? Okay. I was a very honest person. Like I believed in integrity, but when I would get in relationships, I would just find myself hiding things or not telling the full truth, because I was so scared of either hurting the other person or me saying something and they're not loving me anymore, or not giving me the attention that they once did. Even to the point when I was sitting, you know, say at like a cafe or something, and someone would come up to me and start talking to me. And then they're like, oh, are you single? And I'd be like, yeah, you know, but I had a boyfriend, you know, and I would be like, why the heck did I just do that? In my mind, I'm like, why? I don't even like this guy. I don't want to go on a date with this guy. Why would I tell him that I'm single? You know? And so anyways, and even in relationships, I would catch myself and I would be like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep? And then when you tell a little lie, then you get caught in another lie and another lie. And it's these just unhealthy stories. And then I wondered why all these guys I was dating had trust issues. I'm like, oh, they have trust issues. They have anger issues. But I never was like, but I have honesty issues. And so, you know, and it took a lot of deep inner work and the stuff that, you know, we coach people on now to help really uncover that most all of our stuff goes back to childhood. There's these patterns that we pick up that become so unconscious, you know, and basically what I had to learn was that I never felt comfortable telling my father the truth growing up, because I grew up in a really religious family. And I had to learn as like a survival pattern that like, if I just hid things from my dad, then I could get away with it. Yeah. And it was so fascinating how that went into all my relationships with men. But what's so crazy is that no matter what practice I did, whether it was like journaling or meditation or, you know, therapy or whatever it was, nothing helped me as much as finding the root cause. Right. So I felt so trapped by this habit or pattern, and I couldn't figure out why I kept doing it and why I felt so stuck in that. But as soon as I was like, oh, I didn't feel comfortable telling my dad the truth. Maybe that's where I picked it up. Then all of a sudden it was like this weight was lifted off of me, and I could really make a conscious commitment with myself that I no longer had to do that, and I talk about these hero habits, right? The 5 C's, which is curiosity, creativity, compassion, courage, and connection, right? I have to get really curious about why things are the way they are, like really curious, asking yourself some really powerful questions, and then using your creative power to start thinking differently. I'm like, okay, this is what I did before. How can I get creative and start doing things different? And then I have to have the compassion to forgive myself, to say, okay, that's what I did once, and it helped me out back then. Because when I was a kid, it helps me get away with stuff, and I got to do things that maybe, I wouldn't have otherwise done. But it does not help me now, and I can forgive myself for the hurt, the pain that I caused myself and others, but to really forgive and have compassion, because I didn't know what I didn't know, right? We can't know what we don't know until we know it. And then we can start to choose differently, right? And then the courage to actually make changes, because I can have all the curiosity, the creativity, and compassion in the world. If I don't have courage to start taking action and doing different, then I don't have much, and then
Right.
the connection, right? That we are human beings and we're wired for connection, and when we're going through challenges, to ask for help, to admit that we have problems and issues and things that we're struggling with, and to ask for help and connection.
I love it. Speaking of asking for help in this work that you're doing with these renegade relationships, what has that been like running this company? Because obviously it's more than, just helping the people out. It's marketing it and doing all that stuff. How has that experience been, and the help that you've been looking for to make this thing happen?
Yeah. So are you meaning in my own relationship? Because I'm in a business relationship with my partner. Okay. Got it.
We'll get to that. But I was going to go with the fact of actually like when people are going to you for this type of coaching and helping to run that business itself. How has that been for you? Have you had to seek outside help in trying to put that together, in comparison to your acting world that you're dealing with?
Yes. So, I am so grateful. Several years ago, I threw myself into entrepreneurship and, learned so much about marketing and branding and, everything it is to create a new brand and a business. And, I absolutely ask for help all the time, and I think it's, I love talking about things because I relate things to heroes, right? Like I play hero characters, and I always relate back to like these heroes or these superpowers that we all have. And I think vulnerability is a superpower, right? Yeah. When you can say like, hey, I'm starting this. This is the mission, right? Like we want to create a world where healthy relationships are the new norm. We know we can't do it by ourselves. Like who else is passionate about this mission, and who else wants to go on this ride with us? Whether it's asking for help from like interns or other people who are passionate, or past clients that we've helped in their relationship, telling their story. Obviously, like we're so excited to have you on a radio show. So that it's that cross promotion, that collaboration, that like being the rising tide that lifts all boats. Because I really believe so often it's so easy to get stuck in the comparison trap.
Yep.
And I think the best way to get out of that comparison trap is to collaborate, right? So collaboration over comparison, and to really realize that everybody has dreams, everybody has goals. And when you can create win-win situations, you help everybody, right? Rather than trying to, one of my favorite quotes is that, be careful what you choose to believe, because what you choose to believe becomes who you are.
Oh, that's good.
And so I like that. If I believe that I live in a world that is full of competition and comparison and lack, right? That only some people win, only the lucky ones get what they want, then that's my reality. And I will make that real for myself, because that's what I really believe, unconsciously or consciously. And so I've done a lot of work around creating a reality that is abundant, that I really truly believe that everybody is uniquely powerful and has unique gifts that can impact the world in a way that only they can, right? Like you can do things that I can't do, and I can do things that you can't do, and someone listening can do something that we can't do. And I think it's all based on our stories and our unique experiences and our unique makeup that enable us to do things in a way that nobody else can. And I want to empower everyone to find that uniqueness in them and then run with it and support others in their unique path as well.
I like it. The superhero comes out. We're going to hit that in a minute, but you tapped into it. What is it like working with your life partner in this, your fiance in this experience? Because that could put some tension, right, on any relationship. Obviously, that could certainly make Renegade take a whole new level. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's honestly been incredible. You know, I mean, this man is my dream guy for a reason. And I swear I wished him into reality in every component. And I really do. I actually have a meditation I put out on my YouTube that's called the Future Gratitude Meditation. And I did this practice every day since I was young, and I didn't even know I was doing it. But it's basically having some sort of practice where you get so grateful for future experiences that you want to call into your life, but acting as if it's already happened and getting it so real within your mind, right? Where you can see it and smell it and taste it and touch it, and getting so grateful as if it's already happened, and then living as if you know it's happening, right? So it's really powerful stuff. And it's also, you know, as an actress, I learned so much about the power of imagination all the time as an actress. And there's so many things about acting that have been the greatest life lessons ever, right? And I just really feel like the more we can imagine what we want to create and then believe that it's actually that we're doing it, that we have this co-creative power to create the reality that we want, then we start to experience it. And so when working with my fiance, you know, we've been together for almost 3 years, and I mean, we just have so much fun together. We literally have so much fun together. You can look on all of our social media channels. You'll literally see fun.
You guys are. I've listened to your radio program. There's almost too much fun. Is there? It's like, you know, who plays good cop, bad cop in any situation? It's like good cop, fun cop, fun cop. There's no opposite.
Well, I think, you know, the biggest thing that we both have to be very aware of is when boundaries, right? So really setting boundaries for ourselves because we love what we do so much. And if we're not careful, we spend all the time doing rather than just like being with each other, and making sure that we have what we call like scheduling in vacation times, like every day. Like, okay, we're going to take a little vacation every day and we're going to schedule it. And part of one of our morning routines that we do together is called morning shenanigans. So we wake up and we're both like really into biohacking. And so we've had these, you know, morning practices of like journaling or meditation, breath work, movement, which are all really, we do all those things. But one of the coolest things that I feel like we've implemented is morning shenanigans. And that's basically, you wake up and it's who can be the most ridiculous, like who can get the other person to laugh first. And I'm not kidding. It is one of my favorite things because you just get to be silly and laugh and play. And so many times, like I do a lot of with our coaching clients, a lot of like inner child healing stuff, because I mean, really all of our issues come from, we're just not letting that little kid inside of us play. We're not letting it know that it's safe and seen and heard and loved. And so, you know, just laughter and fun, I think, is so underrated in our world.
That's so true.
The more that we understand that, the more fun we have, the more we do things that light us up, the more we laugh, the more we just be silly and play, the more creative power we have, the more like vibrancy we have, the more people we're magnetic, because people want to be around people that make them feel good, you know? And totally. So, you know, so yeah, I think, but something I really want to talk about is masculine, feminine energy, right? I've had to do a lot of work to learn how to operate in my divine feminine energy. And he's had to do a lot of work to understand how to operate in his masculine energy and in a healthy way. There's a lot of what they call like toxic masculinity, as well as maybe toxic femininity, and how to really understand both worlds. A book that changed my life is Alison Armstrong's work. Alison Armstrong wrote Understanding Women, Unlocking the Mystery, as well as Understanding Men. And any woman that struggles with, you know, especially like we do a business together, right? So it's super easy for me to get in my masculine energy and be the person that in masculine energy being much more in this energy of let's fix things, let's, you know, do things, let's get things done. And feminine energy being much more in this kind of allowing creative power. And what's interesting about masculine and feminine energy is that if you're ever in a relationship and if a woman is really in her masculine, it automatically puts the men in his feminine and it depolarizes attraction. So a lot of couples out there wonder why. They're like, gosh, why do I feel like less attracted right now to my partner? Or why all of a sudden that person that I know that I love just not seem as attractive right now? And it could be that we're just out of sync with our like femininity and masculinity. And there's ways to learn that a lot more about that so that we can operate in a healthy space and support each other in each.
Oh, I would love to be there when you two are fighting. That would be just spectacular. Somebody yelling at each other. My God, you're in your masculinity right now. And now I'm in my feminine. That would just be spectacular. Let's do this move here because I want to address this because you are a superstar and a hero here. You get to do what you love each day. And obviously your acting career got some pretty interesting starts. And I don't want to dive through all of it, but do you appreciate that you get to do this work that you do? It's a very competitive space. It's very tough, but the role of acting, how much do you love it today versus, I guess, when you first came in to start doing it several years ago?
I love filmmaking, like love. You know, I was a 14-year-old little girl that saw a movie that changed my life. And I saw this movie when I was in a really challenging time.
Which movie was this?
It was called Center Stage. Oh, it was the first dance movie I had ever seen. And I had just broke my hand. I had 6 pins. I grew up a very competitive gymnast. And I was so unhealthy. I was so unhappy in that world. And when I quit, it was very traumatic because I didn't know who I was anymore. My mom didn't want to talk to me. My friends didn't like me. And I felt alone. I felt depressed. I felt scared. I cried in my room for a long time. And then when I saw this movie, it was the first time that I just felt so lit up. Like I felt so inspired by this film. I don't know if anybody listening has ever seen a movie or a YouTube video or read a book or something where you just had this fire go off inside of you. And you're like, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to inspire people the way that that movie inspired me. And I sat in the theater after and I just cried and I started visualizing myself doing that. So much so that my parents had to like pull me out of the theater because I just didn't want to leave. I felt so happy and lit up for the first time in a long time. And, you know, getting into acting classes and dance classes, all of a sudden I felt what it felt like to just live in my joy. I lived in such fear before. I mean, I told you on Clubhouse, I think I was throwing up every week because I was so scared of getting hurt, getting yelled at, or not being the best. And so when I started dancing and acting, I mean, you couldn't get me to stop, you know, like I just loved it so much and I got so much healthier. And, you know, really long story short, but all the things I was learning in personal development and psychology. And again, this is in my teenage years, right? So at 14 years old, saw this movie. I also came across this book called As a Man Thinketh. And it was my first book that really talked about like the power of thought and how it affects the way you feel and how it affects the way you can create your own reality that you want to create. And I remember being mad. I was like, how come nobody told me this when I was like 5 years old? Because it would have been really helpful.
It would have been tough to teach a 5-year-old. Like, come on now.
No, but I don't know. I don't think that it means that in a very simple way of just like, hey, what you think about matters, you know, and that you can change what you're thinking about, and what you're thinking about is habitual. You know, and
you're bringing me back just for a second to one of the earliest guests on Thrive Loud. Highly recommend you listen to her. She's going to love this shout out. We're going to give Angela Myers a shout out. Angela Myers speaks to students all over the world. She's one of the best speakers you'll ever find out there. And Angela speaks specifically about mattering. And I apologize. The dog just ran out of the room there. That was a good cut take there. Okay. She talks about mattering, and that mattering is just as important as breathing. And you need to start understanding that you matter at that very early age. And I think that's exactly it. So Angela, you're hearing this shout out right now. She will watch this, by the way.
Yes.
You guys are on the right page. And she's also on Clubhouse, so we can connect the two of you. So anyway, I apologize for interrupting, but I just had to bring that in there.
Please, I'm happy that you did. No, I think the earlier we can learn this stuff, the better. And I started putting all these principles to practice, whether it was like journaling or vision boards or writing out things that I wanted to create in my future, or affirmations or mirror work or all these different things. And, I was like the weird little girl, like everybody was like, Rach, come to this party with us. I'm like, oh no, I got to go to this like self-development conference. And, my friends laughed at me and like, whatever. But I was like, guys, this is so amazing. I just felt so good when I would do these practices. And, it led me to move to LA when I was 18, just following this dream, even though I was terrified. I didn't know anybody. I mean, I cried myself to sleep every night. I was so homesick, but I just kept watching Center Stage to remind me of why I was doing what I was doing. Remembering that experience in the theater when I committed, like, that's what I want to do with my life. And really long story short, but through a roller coaster rides of emotions, of such ups and downs and things that I thought were the worst things that ever happened to me, ended up being the best things that put me at the right place at the right time with the right skill set to actually land the lead role in the sequel to that same film.
It's the craziest story ever, by the way. And I'm just going to say that you got to follow the movie of what you wanted and get the lead role in really your first major movie, which is insane, by the way. And so, okay. So normally we ask in the show, and we're going to, we'll take the movie piece out of Fun Street, which we do here in the episode, because I'm bringing it forward here, because I'll ask you what your all-time favorite movie is. So I imagine it's Center Stage, the original.
Yes.
To have the opportunity to be in the movie, and here's for the Thrive Lab listeners, I watched your movie last night.
You did?
Yes, I did. I said, all right, I'm going to be interviewing Rachel. I got to understand this. So I did watch it. Who wouldn't love any of these movies? Because I'd seen Center Stage, but I had not seen your movie. And now, of course, I'm speaking with you. And I said, yeah, let me go do this. By the way, physically, the work that you're doing, you could see your athleticism come out, because I'm assuming, I know there's stuff that stunt people do and there's stuff that you do, whatever, but
I had no stunt double.
You did everything? You did everything in that movie.
I did everything in that movie.
Okay, you are gifted beyond belief, because that is impressive, because this is not easy on all the parts of what the movie was.
Yes.
By the way, you would never have known it was your first movie. You did a great job, and it was freaking awesome. But it was fun, and I was like, no one has ever gotten that much research, by the way, before a podcast interview. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be talking tomorrow. So, but that story, that's your favorite movie, and you got to play the lead in the sequel, is freaking crazy.
I really
hope you appreciate that.
To this day, every day, literally every day, I say a prayer and I say thank you, because I realize how almost miraculous that story is and how much that just doesn't happen. But I really want people to know, like, the day in, day out practice I did, not only physical, but mental, emotional, spiritual practices that led to that. And how many times, like, I thought my path was, I was going to go to a specific college, and it was my dream college because they had the best theater program, the best dance program. And I worked my ass off in high school. Like, I was student government all 4 years. I ran all of our charity work at our high school. I was captain of the dance line. I did competitive dance after school. I did.
And you were a competitive gymnast on top of all of this.
Yeah. And so, like, I didn't sleep, because I thought I was going to go to, and it was all because I wanted to get into this college, because I thought if I went to that college, I could get in their theater program and their dance program. And then I could get into, film and TV in Hollywood or New York. And guess what? I had an amazing GPA. I had all these, extracurricular activities. I didn't get in, and I was devastated. Like, you could ask my mom. I literally didn't get out of bed for almost a month. Like, I thought that was like it. And I had scholarships to other colleges, but I was like, I don't want to go there. Like, I'm not supposed to go there. I was supposed to go to this one. And now, like, I literally thank God every day that I didn't get in, because I didn't get in, because I went through that, like, what felt to me traumatic, it ended up being the best thing that ever happened, because it catapulted me to just move to LA when I was 18 to audition for the scholarship program there. That, they auditioned thousands of kids all over the world, and I was one of the 20 that got in. But I had 2 weeks to move to LA. I didn't know anybody. I had only been there once, and it was terrifying. Like, it was terrifying. And But
you're all about facing your fears. I could see this. As terrifying as it is, you look, you were young, you went through it. I get it, but you now understand what it takes, even in a relationship, or what you have to be to do it, and what that thought process is, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, sometimes I look back at what happened, and you're right. I think part of being young, right, is that you just do stuff. And I just kept, one of my main messages is just, when in doubt, just do the brave thing. Because if I look back at my story, literally all I kept doing was I just kept doing the brave thing. And I kept rewiring my brain that no matter what, like if I just be brave, like I will somehow win in the end. Like I might not get into the college I wanted. I might break my hand and have to have surgery. But like all of those things, if I just keep being brave, no matter what, will ultimately lead down a trajectory that might be even better than I ever thought. Because yes, I said, here's my thing. I think a lot of goal setting is flawed, because a lot of people that taught me how to goal set was like, set a specific time, know exactly what you want, when you're going to get it, how you're going to do it. And I didn't ever say, I'm going to play the lead in the sequel to this film. All I said was, I have this visceral experience that changed me. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need. If we have big goals, big dreams, like we are human beings. We're not human thinkings. We can't just think of something that we want. It's one of my favorite quotes is that we don't always attract what we think about. We attract who we are.
Got it.
Right. So this visceral experience, it changes you as a being, and then gives you this fire, this passion, this drive to just keep being brave, even when you're scared. I think is the thing. And it was more of, and that's what I do in the future gratitude exercise, that meditation I told you about, is more so helping people get in the feeling of what does it feel like when you achieve that thing? What does it feel like when you find the love of your life? What does it feel like when they're holding you and you feel safe and you feel seen? What does it feel like to you? And making it so real for yourself that you start to walk in your world as if it's already happened. And when you start to live like that, you just automatically start attracting different kinds of people because you have a better relationship with yourself.
Love it. We usually ask this question, but you seem to have answered all of them because you just got all that energy going. It's all coming out because we know you've had a very busy day of speaking and interviewing and you're on it. I usually ask the question, Rachel, when you're having an off day and you're not quite kicking on all cylinders, what practice do you seek or individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Yeah, I love this question. And I definitely want people to know that there's many days when I have off days. And I think we all are going to have off days. And, life will slap us like offside the head, sometimes, or we'll get knocked off our feet. But it's what do we do in those moments, and when you're watching a film, right, the hero of the film has things blowing up in his face or her face. People are trying to kill him. Like things aren't going the way that they want them to. But it's what they do with that makes the difference. Yeah. And that's why, the 5 C's, again, I always go to them. I'm like, okay, get curious, get creative, get compassionate, get courageous, and get connected. And one of the best life practices, I feel like, I teach all my clients this, is whenever I'm feeling super stressed, I either go to the mirror and I say a phrase, different phrases. Basically, if you can go to the mirror and just look at yourself in the eye and say, thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you.
That's beautiful.
Several rounds of that, 10 rounds of saying that to yourself, looking at yourself in the eyes. I promise you will have a different feeling after you do that. Oh, the other thing that's so powerful is if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, get a piece of paper and write down 3 reasons why you love yourself. Or it could be 3 reasons why you're proud of yourself. Just something where you can get out of your head, because I love this. Like I on the computer when they have the spinning wheel that goes, if it's like
the rainbow wheel of death. You love the rainbow wheel of death?
Yes. Oh. I literally call it the spinning wheel of death.
That's
right?
the worst.
So I often see that we can get in that same trap in our minds. Totally. It's just that spinning wheel of death of like, we get caught in a loop. And, my father is a neurosurgeon and my brother's a neuroscientist. And we talk a lot about psychology and neuroscience and how the brain works. And it was so interesting, especially when I was going through a really traumatic breakup. I just couldn't decide. I was like, I knew deep down I needed to get out of this relationship, But then I would make up all these reasons why I should stay. I was like, but he's a good person, but he loves me, like he's nice to me sometimes, whatever it was like, what if he's going to change in the future? And what if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life? And I would just be in this loop, the spinning wheel of death. Right. And my dad said something so profound to me that he was like, Rach, in all the studies of the brain, confusion is the worst space to be in. It's worse than anger. It's worse than sadness. It's worse than even fear sometimes, because all your brain wants to do is figure out an answer. Like, it just wants to decide. It doesn't even matter if that decision is the right or wrong decision. It just wants to land on something.
It wants to stop in that spinning wheel. You're totally
right. So I had to really learn that, okay, it doesn't even matter what choice I make, as long as I just choose. And I had to start really small. Even it was hard for me to decide what ice cream I wanted. And I had to learn how to just get back.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Vanilla,
Seriously.
Strawberry.
Exactly. Because I was so scared of what if I miss out? What if I don't get the best one? And so, I think it's like baby steps and learning how to build that muscle of decision making, and starting small and then taking leaps of faith in big decisions, like, relationship decisions or career decisions. And when you just practice deciding, that decision muscle, it does get stronger and you get more confident in it, and you have a deeper connection with yourself, with your intuition. And I think that's, it always, we've done so many interviews with relationships and relationship experts and neuroscientists and doctors. And it always comes back to you, like the relationship you have with yourself. Because here's the thing, we can't give away what we don't have. So if I don't have a loving, supportive relationship with myself, how am I ever going to create that with anyone else? Totally. And so, I love, Esther Perel is such a really brilliant mind when it comes to relationships.
She was an amazing guest on the show.
I love her.
And her accent is like to kill, to die for, too.
I know.
Whatever part of the middle of Europe she's from, you got to love it.
Seriously, it's so incredible. Yeah.
Rachel, let's do this. Let's do the admin part of the show. You've got some real cool plugs coming up. So this is the window to do it. Let's plug Relationship Renegades. Let's plug movies, things you've got on the calendar. We will put it all in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, we do, private coaching, and we're doing an upcoming mastermind in Relationship Renegades. Best place is just on Instagram, relationship.renegades. And then we have a private group on Facebook, which is just our free group. It's an awesome tribe, amazing group of people to connect with. And we're always doing awesome stuff in there. And then I have some really cool movies coming out. One that just came out recently called Superhuman that I think everybody listening would be really into. It's on Amazon right now, but it is, I did telekinesis and remote viewing, and my mind was blown at the things that I was able to do. And even just in the movie, I love the mission of this movie of just helping people really become aware of how much more powerful we all are. We can do things that we just didn't know that we could do. It's really amazing. And then I have a new one coming out called The Method that I play the main girl in. Amazing story. It's kind of like a psychological thriller, but it has a lot to do with, I'm so passionate about the story because I think so many times women can get taken advantage of, especially in the entertainment industry. And this movie kind of taps into that in a really fun, creative, thrilling way. Definitely some of, I think my best work in that film, as well as a new one coming out called Alien Country that is just such a fun action comedy movie. I got to play a kind of Southern sassy character in this movie, and it was so fun. And I think more than ever, we just need movies that make us laugh and make us feel good. And this movie is that. You just get to go on a ride. And then one that I'm starting is called Legend of the White Dragon. And I'm getting to actually produce and star in this one. And it is kind of like my next dream role because I've just always been dreaming of playing a character like Wonder Woman. And this movie, I'm going to get to, do a lot of cool fight scenes and action scenes and play a superhero character. And that's just so exciting to me. And to get to play a role that is, she's basically the leader of the rebels. And she's causing this huge positive rebellion in her world that really needs it. I
love it. I'm already signed up. All right, come on. You got me to watch your movie last night, so I can only imagine the next ones I got to look at.
And thank you for saying that I was okay in that movie, because it's so hard for me to watch, because I watched it.
Look, Look, I mean, they weren't nominating Oscars for the storyline here. There's been a lot of movies like it, but you did a really great job, and they actually thought it was a good movie. Go see it, everybody. We'll put all the links there. Don't worry.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Rachel, permission to go down Fun Street with me.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. The way this is going to work is I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing to come to your mind. These are things that make you feel good, that lift you up, that make you thrive. Okay. You ready? Okay.
Yes.
A song you love to hear or one that pumps you up.
Oh, I love. Okay. Pour Some Sugar on Me. Like, just such a fun dance song. I just want to like move and dance, and it just makes me feel powerful, and fun. So yeah, I love that one.
Love it. Favorite food that's not a dessert.
Salmon. Wild salmon. I love salmon. I eat it all the time.
Favorite dessert.
Dark chocolate.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Dancing. I can never get enough. Like, I just love it. And I don't get to do it as much as I used to. And I just, yeah.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Oh man. Overthinking. I overthink sometimes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It took you a while to figure out what it was, and it was
right?
overthinking. That's spectacular. Rachel, if you could snap your fingers and go anywhere in the world, where are you?
Australia. I've always wanted to go. I've never been, and I'm so excited one day to get to be there.
Rachele Brooke Smith, such an honor hearing your story, the relationship Renegades, the work you're doing, all the movies that are coming up, just connecting with you here. This is how you meet somebody virtually and then connect and make it all happen. And you are truly thriving loud. So thank you for coming on the program.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for the work that you are doing. Like, it's so important. It's so needed. It's so necessary. And I can't wait to share this with everybody and get more people, even more people on the Thrive train.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Thanks for listening to this special episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, brought to you by Success.com and Thrive Loud. To learn more about this great program and elevating the brilliant minds of women, head on over to thriveloud.com or Success.com. And make sure to follow Lou at Thrive Loud everywhere on social media to learn more about this special series. Thanks for listening.